Shalom, 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 Shabbat shalom, Chag Sameach, blessed Feast of Tabernacles, and also preparation for closing of Tabernacles for many. We all on different pages. But nonetheless, beyond that, I wanted to do this video to upload this on YouTube. The new classic Kazakh channel has been uploaded, and we will be uploading videos as we feel directed to upload them on the classic Kazakh channel until further notice. I wanted to give you an update because about between 8 to 10 years ago, I haven't done the math to give you the accuracy of how long it's been since we've been a teacher on the internet. And so I wanted to just kind of give you an update. Something that I want to talk about, something that I see that is happening amongst us as natural born DNA descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or Yaakov. There has been a great deal of religiosity and a great deal of self-righteousness, because religion has a tendency to bring about self-righteousness, which in turn causes us to be divided into sectors, into sections, and the popular common terminology used today is called camps, right? The Israelite nation only had one camp. That's the Israelite camp. All these places and these divisions are man-made, and that's what's causing the problems that we have today. Now, I want to add something, and I want to share with you out of the scripture, because I am a firm believer of scripture, not from a religious perspective, but from a educational as well as a manual or a guide for life. And when we disregard our brothers and sisters of creation, whether they are natural born physical descendants with the DNA through their blood, or whether they be someone who has been joined to the covenant, or whether they be someone who has an inquiry with regards to covenant and don't understand. So we have been given an instruction by the Creator. Whether you believe that there is a Creator or not, whether you believe in all these abstract views of philosophy, that's your choice, right? When you look at the whole thing, even if you go and you believe in a cell and a bang theory, or there's no absolute individual creator, but the creative force itself is a creator, whether it comes in various forms. You still believe in a higher authority than your own self, right? So let's level across the board. We know for a fact that there's something that is an eternal source that's greater than what we are, right? Whether we want to label it a name or not, in the language that our early fathers spoke, we can understand the name of the Creator, because it's evident in the whole global language system, which is Yah, which means life, right? Now, I want to read something. It is not my desire to be long with this video. I want to go straight to the point. I want to speak to your heart. I want us to all to examine ourselves to see whether or not we are in the truth or not. See that pretty boat behind me? Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? That's one of the things that I miss in Chicago, is seeing that. But anyway, I'm here for now. Okay? Now, I want to read this here. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter. It's pretty hot out here for a Chicago day, September the 26th. It's pretty hot out here, and I'm enjoying it. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse verse 15. Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 15. If you don't believe in the Bible, that's your choice, that's your prerogative. But if you understand principles, you will not have a problem with a principle that is given to us from what we call the Bible. Okay? Now, let's read. He says, verse 15, he being Yah, whether you accept that or not, that's your choice. I call him Yah for short, or Yahweh. I don't go into a debate with all these religiosity people who want to tell you, the name ain't that. You know what? Those people who want to fight over that, they haven't learned anything yet. Keep living, and you'll change your whole approach, just like I have changed my approach. I don't fight with people over all of that, right? Truth is truth. If you continue in your ignorance or disobedience or whatever it is as pertaining to the name, that's between you and the Creator. I don't have nothing to do with that. My responsibility is to be a teacher, to share with you what I believe that the Creator has endowed me to share. That's all I can give you. I can't say I'm 100% accurate and this is the only way. I can only give you what the Creator has blessed to be in my hands at this time, right? Now, let me continue. So he says, see, I, Yahweh, Yah, the Creator, have set before you this day good and death and evil. So we attribute death and evil to the enemy, to Satan, the devil, to wicked one, when we just read here where the Creator said, I have set before you what? Life, good, death, and evil. So he said life, good, death, and evil. He said, I have set this before you. Nobody said it before you. It wasn't your religious organization said it before you. So you don't have to be a part of that organization. The Creator is speaking through a book that he wrote to a people who he chose. Now, let me say this here. He didn't choose any other people on the face of the earth. So therefore, if we follow the prescription that Yahweh, the Creator, gave to the people whom he only chose and only knew, we'll be all right. But what has happened is religion has crept in amongst the people, because the people who he chose have embraced religion and have not embraced the way of the Creator, who tells us and continuously tells us, I place before you what? Life and good, death and evil, right? That's why we look in our communities, we can see death and evil that has prevailed. Why? Because the people have chosen death and evil, right? Whether you believe, whether you attend a religious church, mosque, whatever, everyone has been placed in front of the road of decision, which is to choose life and good or death and evil. That's what life is about. How do you determine whether or not you've chosen the life and good versus the death and evil? By reading what his definition of life and good and death and evil is. Okay, now stay with me right now. Verse 16, he said, in that I command you. Now he's saying, I didn't ask you, I'm telling you, because why? I am the one that created you. So the Creator is speaking. He's saying, I command you this day to love, right? Love who? Love the Creator. who's speaking, who's going to say something to you. Listen to what he's going to say. To love Yahweh, your Elohim, to walk in his ways. What ways? The ways of the Creator, who does what? Tells us how to choose life and good versus death and evil. All right, let's follow through. He says, and to keep my commandments. Right? Now, I'm not going to go there. When I say commandments, immediately people get super califragilisticexpialidocious. No, I'm kidding. People get super religious when they hear we're not under the law. But the Creator is a whole lot smarter than you. If he said, if you keep my commandments, you'll have what? Life and good. But if you don't keep my commandments, you're going to have what? Death and evil. Right? So, you choose, he says. You choose. Watch what he says here. He says, keep my commandments and his statutes and his judgments. Right? Tell me in Chicago, we'll claim you're flying on it. That might be the helicopter for the traffic weather because it's the rush hour time. But anyway, let me get back to where I was. So he says, keep his commandments, his statutes, and his judgments. I'm not going to go and dissect all of that right now because it's not that important right now, okay? To dissect that part. We'll deal with that at another time. But I want to address this here, okay? He said, keep his statutes, his judgments. I will say this much. Keep his statute, that in which he has established as a statute, right? So, in other words, I'll give you a real good example of what a statute is. A man and a woman, that's a statute. Okay? A woman and a woman is not a statute. Sorry. A man and a man is not a statute. Sorry. So the governments of the world have done what? They have chose death and evil by not adhering to what? The statute. Statute is a monument, something that is a landmark that is not to be removed, right? So he says, obey his statutes, his judgments, right? So when things happen, right, we have to look at the thing from all of the angles and turn that thing upside down and judge based on all of the information that has been provided. Not impartiality, not because this person is rich, because they're my favorite person, but we're supposed to judge the matter properly. We are to judge. How many times have you heard people say, oh, the Bible says judge not, that should be not judged. So we have a responsibility, as he says, keep my judgments, because what? These are his judgments. This is what he has given us to do, is to judge matters. That's why we have a legal system. That's why we have juries, because people are so hypocritical, say, well, you're not supposed to judge. Don't be my judge, right? Well, if you do something wrong and you get caught, guess where you end up at in this society? In the courtroom, where you are what? Judged. So we are supposed to be judges, brothers and sisters. So don't get super religious out. You can't be my judge, right? But we are supposed to keep his judgments, meaning that we are supposed to judge the matter properly according to his protocol, according to his standards, according to his methodology and his way. All right, now. So he says, keep his judgments, that he says you may live, right? And multiply. So if we keep his what? If we keep his commandments, his statutes, his judgments, we will live and do what? And multiply, right? That's what it's about. When he created the first man and woman, the whole position for creation was for man to live and to enjoy life to the fullest extent as a creation and as a king or as a queen, using the English language, or to have a kingdom or to dominate in a land. That's what he created us for. But we cannot dominate in a land if we don't know how to capitalize off of it the Creator's way of doing it, you see. So, and the Creator's way is not self-righteous. Well, y'all not doing it like me. No. If you got so much great knowledge, your responsibility as a law or Torah or a commandment keeper is to instruct others how. Even when you disagree with them, we are to instruct them, not by fighting and making them mad and angry, as I've done in the past, I'm sure, and as many continuously do today, especially on a feast day. But our responsibility should be to instruct and teach people the way of life and good. That's what the Creator said. He didn't teach us religion, but he said teach the people how to choose life. He said to choose life and to choose good. Now let's continue. He said that you may live and multiply, and Yahweh, thy Elohim, or your Creator, will bless you in the land where you go to possess. See that? That was what he told this people who he chose, because all the other nations were caught up in self-worship and self-gratification, in their own ideologies, in the worship of the God of self, right? So he chose this people because of one man, Abraham, right? Who happened to be the son of another man who had found grace in the eyes of the Creator, whose name happened to be what? Noah, or King James calls him Noah. So we, the nation of Israel, have been chosen because of one man, not because we're so great, because of one man's faith and belief in the Creator. He chose a people, his seed. He made a promise to the seed because of him. So, and there's nothing that you can do to change the promise that he made, the Creator made to the one who has had us as his offspring. You can't change it. Now, you can disinherit yourself by not walking in obedience to it, but you can't change it. Even if you want to change it, you can't change it, right? Let's continue. So he says that you may, he shall bless you in the land where you go to possess it. See that? So now, as I prepare to close, I just wanted to share this brief little nugget of a message to you, right? What has caused so much fighting and bickering among us, right? I want to take you to a letter written by an Israelite, early Israelite, right immediately after the death of the Mashiach. He said something very powerful that is still singing very loud in today's time, that many of us need to listen and hear to and apply it in our lives. And we can live peaceably, even amongst those who don't believe. Why? Because we apply the principle that's given to us by the Creator and the people that he chose to do what? To be an example and to educate and to instruct and to inspire us how to live and choose life and choose the good, right? Now, before I go there, let me read this here and then we'll go. Matter of fact, I'm going to go to where I'm going to go, okay? Let's go to Yaakov, right? All right. Yaakov or James, chapter 4. It says, I'm going to read this. I'm going to kind of configure, if you will, the language so you can understand, right? I'm going to read out of the King James Version, but I'm going to kind of take away a little bit of that King James tone so you can understand what I'm saying, or what Yaakov's saying, okay? I'm not creating my own translation. I'm just going to kind of take some words out, okay? So he says, where do wars come from? Ask yourself a question. Why do we war? Where do wars come from? This is Yaakov, James, chapter 4, verse 1. Where do wars come from? Why do we fight? Israelites, Hebrews. Why do we fight? Why is there such a war between Hebrews? Why do we have such divisions? Why are we fighting? We are a part of Abraham's seed. His blood runs through our veins. So we should have some unity and harmony in understanding that we have an objective and a commandment to obey his commandments, statutes, and judgments, right? Now, he says, do they not come from your lusts that war in your members? Lust can come in many forms. Don't just limit lust to somebody who has a sexual addiction and they like a lot of women, or a woman that has a sexual addiction that likes a lot of men or likes a lot of sex, or whatever the case might be. Don't limit that lust to that. See, that's the problem we make when we read something lust. We automatically think sex, when lust is talking about desire for that which is bidden. If we look that out in the Greek, I'm not going to go there. If we look that up in the Hebrew, and I'm not going to go there too, it will tell us that lust means a desire for that which is forbidden. Okay? A desire. We lust. Lust means desire. So he says, you lust and war in your members. So now we war internally first. Many of us can't be happy with our brother or our sister because we're not happy with ourselves. We got all kinds of baggage, all kinds of scars from our childhood. Somebody cheated me, somebody cheated on me, or somebody did me wrong, or somebody lied to me, somebody abandoned me, somebody hurt me. So we bring all this baggage inside us to the surface, and we deal with and address other people based on the issues that are deep down in our heart. And that those issues does what? Make us to be what? Self-righteous. And so we become what? Defensive. So if a person don't look like me, smell like me, talk like me, act like me, walk like me, breathe like me, whatever, wear colors like me, that person don't have it right. Creator didn't make us all to be clones. He made us individual. There's a text that says Israel is like a speckled bird, which means there's a variety of us. We all don't sing alike, we all don't clap alike, we all don't teach alike, we all don't walk alike, we all don't eat alike, right? What I may eat, you may not even want to even touch it, right? So you can't make a doctrine and say, well, you shouldn't eat this kind of food, right? The Creator told us what food we can and cannot eat. Anything in addition to that is our own preference, right? So he said these wars come from your lust that war inside your internal members, and then also into your external members. Because once we have come to a place where we haven't settled in our heart some issues, we bring those issues out to the external membership, to other individuals in the walk. And now we have fighting going on. That's why in congregations, Knesses, temples, assemblies, churches, mosques, whatever terminology we may choose in our religious research to call it, a place where we gather, right? That's why we can't get along. We fight. We bicker. Well, that's what he said. I'm going to let Jacob talk. I'm going to stop doing all the talk and let him talk, right? That's what he says. He says, you lust, right? And you have not. See, you desire, you want this. I want security. I want a good job. I want a good man. I want a good woman. I want a good wife. I want a good husband. I want children. I want education. I want. He says you desire this, right? You desire, you lust, but you don't have. You cannot. Watch what he says here. He says you kill and desire to have. So let me deal with this, right? I worked in corporate America for a very long time. And do you know most promotions come from somebody killing somebody else's reputation or killing somebody else's net worth so they can have that job? Why should you get this job? Or snitching on this person, snitching on that person. Even the politicians. To get elected, you got to pull somebody else down to make everybody not have faith in that person so you can put yourself up. So we look at in the religious circle, religious leaders do the same thing, right? When a person comes on the scene, in the forefront, and they want to have followers, what's the first thing they do? attack somebody else's credibility. But don't believe that brother. That brother, boy, he ain't no good teacher. He a false prophet. He a false teacher. Or she's a false teacher. Or whatever the case might be. So they could demonize, right? Demonize. That's what I said. So they can demonize someone else so they can deify themselves. The two D's. That's called a DD degree. Okay? A DD degree is when a person demonizes somebody so they can deify themselves, so they can do what? Increase their net worth, so they can do what? Get followers to follow them at the expense of someone else's shortfall or alleged shortfall. Okay? Now, so he says you fight. He said you kill the desire to have, but you cannot obtain. You fight and you war, but you have not because you ask not. See, you can have what you desire when you ask the Father, and you don't have to cheat, steal, and kill to get it. For the wicked, the enemy, is the one that kills, steal, and destroy. That's what the Mashiach said. I've come that you might have life. But the wicked one, the enemy, come to kill, steal, and destroy. But I come that you might have life and have it more, what? Abundantly. So that you can live and excel, capitalize and maximize your potential here on the earth, right? That's all he's saying, right? Now, let me get back. So he says, verse 4. Now he says, you adulterers. And you adulteresses. So the people that he's calling adulterers and adulteresses are the people that's constantly fighting and killing each other. So regardless to what garbs you wear, and I have some on today, praise Yah, regardless to the fringes, the tassels, the coverings, the head coverings, the CCs, keeping of the feast days, keeping of the Shabbat, the dietary law, and all of that. He says what? He says these people, apart from doing that, they are still adulterers and adulteresses. Because you got all of that, but you're still an adulterer and an adulterer and an adulteress. Because the Creator said, if you're fighting, if you're lying, if you're killing, if you're stealing, if you're fighting amongst your brothers and sisters, you're still an adulterer or adulteress. We need to pray during these feast days to ask the Father to help us to get out of adultery, to deliver us from adultery, and to set us free from the captivity and the bondage of religious mindset and self-righteousness, because that is adultery. Do you follow me? We are instructed to do what? To follow the way of the Creator, which is the way of life. So swallow the pride because you think you got it all together. If you got it all together, then whew, I almost said something right there. But if you got it all together, then doggone it, I say it like that, help somebody else to get it the way you got it. In love, and not in a self-righteous mindset, but through compassion, through sharing, and through caring, right? All right, now. So he says, let me close this here. He says, know you not that friendship of the world is enmity with Elohim. Now, he equate this passage, I'm exegesing this passage, right? Which means I'm reading it, not jumping out here and go way over there somewhere. I'm reading this passage in its context. We haven't talked about nothing but warring in our flesh. Warring in our flesh, lusting, killing, and having a desire to have, and fighting. That is what we're talking about. Nothing else. We're talking about that. So he says in the next verse, he said, don't you know that who is a friend to the world is an enemy to Elohim? So he's saying If your life is filled with fighting and bickering and warring and division and all of that that causes every evil work, then you are a friend to the world, because that's what the world does. That's not the way of the Creator. That's the way of the world. You know that song, that's the way of the world, right? That's the way of the world. But the way of the Father supersedes the way of the world, which is what? The way of life and good. That is understood and gained by what? By practicing the laws, commandments, statutes, and judgments. Not self-righteousness because I did it and y'all got to do it the way I, No. Instructing people to be their best. Looking at the thing that they're wasting. Look and see what we're wasting, right? We waste a lot of money. We waste a lot of time because we have these feelings that we want to deal with. And I do it myself. And when I look back and I say, you know what? Well, I did have a good time. But we're supposed to have a good time. But at the same time, we're supposed to live life at our best, fullest potential, right? That's what we're supposed to do, right? All right, let me continue because I got to close this out. So he says, whosoever therefore, verse 4, Jacob chapter 4, verse 4. Therefore, will we be a friend of the world? Or he said, therefore, will be a friend. He said, whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world, rather, is an enemy of Elohim. So this is what we got to practice. And this is what I want to share. This is all I'm going to leave on this day. And I pray that those of us who come to know that we are the biblical Israelites, that we are the sons and daughters of the people who violated one another and the commandments. Because the commandment tells us to love each other. Love is not a new commandment, brothers and sisters. Doing which is right is not a new commandment. Maybe you struggle because you won't help somebody. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to say this and I'm going to close, right? I don't have a job right now. And I do more traveling, more getting around, more enjoying myself, more serving the Creator in the beauty of holiness. And that's what holiness is, just enjoying the peace of the Father wherever you go. Then people who work 9 to 5, who should be financially secure. And no one gives me a financial donation. I received one a few weeks ago. But my goodness, if I live off of the contributions that I got, and that was what I depended on to function and to survive, I wouldn't be able to be putting this video up in Chicago with a very expensive camera, right? And living like someone who is working a Wall Street job, right? So I say that as I close. Say this as I close. It's time for us Israelites to grow up. Stop being children. Don't be religious, because religion is causing the family to divide. I've been through it. I can testify as a testimony. Religious mindset will break up a family. But a way of the Creator, a way of life that the Creator has designed for us to follow, it will cause us to live every time. So once again, as I close, I want to say I love you all, and I pray that you all are not being victims of religion and a religious mindset and the self-righteous mindset. But I pray that we all are growing and learning in this process, that we're learning how to love each other, right? I'm praying every day, Father, help me to be of such a person that if I have and somebody else needs it, I'll just give it to them willfully, right? Even though I've been taken advantage of in years past for my givingness, but I still can't allow that pain that I had from me being a giver and being abused and taken advantage of to stop me from being a giver. So I pray every day, Father, please don't allow me to shut down my battles of compassion because of the past hurts that I've got from people who have used and abused me. And as I close, I pray, as we face Jerusalem, which is back this direction. That's why the camera's facing that way. As we pray, you look towards Jerusalem as I look in the camera towards Jerusalem. Baruch atah Yahweh Eloheinu melech haolam. Father, we thank you, praise you, we bless you for this day, this feast of Chag HaSukkah, the Feast of Tabernacles, the place where we dwell temporarily in these lands where you have scattered us. We ask you, Father, Abba, that you will allow us to walk in righteousness and love and obedience to your laws, your commandments, your statutes, your judgments, and that we love each other as you have loved us, and that we be examples and living epistles of what it is to be righteous and to be servants of the Most High Yah. We give you praise, we give you honor as we go to come to the close of this feast, as we press forward towards the weekly Shabbat, that you continue to draw us together in love and compassion. Let your Ruach Kadesh, your spirit, help us to not be religious, but help us to be life givers. Help us to walk as you have called us to be givers of life, to choose life. As you said in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 19, choose life that we might live. You put before us life and good, death and evil. Help us, Abba, to choose the life and the good that we might live. I give you praise, I give you honor, in the name of Yahshua HaMashiach. I say hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Toda Yah, amen, amen, amen. And until the next time, may the blessings of the Most High Yah be with you and your family. Shalom, shalom, shalom.